You're listening to the Morning Punchin' Show with RB and J, live and direct from more cities than an Instagram model's bio. Get ready for some boxing talk on the clock. Let's face it, you're not working and somebody's got to pay for the Wi-Fi.
Good morning, everybody. We are back. It is RB and J. This is the Morning Punchin' Show, the most unpredictable, honest, and authentic morning boxing talk show in the game. Today is Monday, January 9, 2017. Our special guest today on the Hotline Bling will be no other than DiBella himself. He's going to help us preview this weekend's fights in Brooklyn and hopefully give us some word on the curve and some updates on the New York insurance laws. Let me properly bring on my partner in crime, the creator and founder of BadCulture.net and contributor for BlackSportsOnline.com, Jay LaBeouf. What's good, Jay?
Good morning, everybody, and it's great to be back in 2017. It's all stormy here in Los Angeles, but after a week off, I missed you guys. I missed RB. Well, we talk every day, but I missed you guys, the listeners, and doing a Morning Punchin' Show. Ready to kick off 2017 right with a lot of energy, a lot of great shows, and delivering this wish list. If you know us, you know it's not the traditional wish list. So ready to get going this Monday morning. How about you, RB?
I'm ready. We're going to bring it this year in 2017. We got some really big plans and ideas for some shows for you guys that should be really, really phenomenal. But we are in 2017. And on the real, 2016 wasn't a great year for the sport of boxing. I'd probably give it like a C plus, Jay. How would you grade boxing in 2016?
After coming off with such a high of fights in 2015, I agree. I agree with you. It was a little bit better than average. I'd say about a C plus B minus. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So there were just too many irrelevant fights. Some showcases that were unnecessary. Some of the biggest fights in boxing that could have been made weren't made. PEDS was truly an epidemic in 2016. Mm-hmm. There was fighters popping dirty left and right. It was just super prevalent in 2016. So this morning, RB and J, we're going to share our boxing wish list with you guys for 2017. Things that we want to see happen in the next upcoming 12 months. The lines are open. We also want to take some wishes from you guys. So call 718-508-9852. Press 1 to give us some of your boxing wishes for this year. So, ready, Jay? I think we should punch in.
Let's do it.
All right. I think I'd like to hear from you first, Jay. Why don't you give us a few of your boxing wishes?
Okay. Well, let's start off 2017 right. We love the sport. We want the best for the sport. So let's start off with my first wish for 2017 is that we never, ever, ever see Screaming Stephen A. Smith call a fight ever, ever again. I appreciate the desire to reach a broader audience and maybe by putting a controversial name into the broadcast team that might have brought a different consumer than before, but nah. I never, ever want to hear that train wreck ever again. Horrible. Terrible. That's number one. Number two, please, well, that's kind of impossible since we already know a few fights already, but let us cut back on the pay-per-view fights. Every year, people are poor out there. The economy is down. Let's have every network pick one fight that they really want to get behind and make one pay-per-view event per year and make that and sink all the energy and the resources into that one fight and have other fights be on regular premium cable. People are already paying for premium cable and then pay-per-view on top of that. So pick one big pay-per-view per year. Just change that whole model. Another wish, I probably will never, ever get this wish, but please, WBA, can we cut down on some of these frivolous belts? The regular champion, the super champion, the intermediate champion, the Inglewood champion, but they're all welterweights. Can we cut down on some of the belts? So that's one of my wishes. I mean, I could go on, RB. You want to jump in here and get some of your wishes? Or because I could keep ranting for the next 5 minutes.
I'd like for the boxing media this year to get along better, especially on social media. I mean, stop being petty. Who broke what story first? Give me the credit. I did that. you ugly, you broke. I mean, boxing media, come on. There was a time back in the day where many old timers would tell me that after the fights, the boxing media used to love getting together, hanging out at the bar, drinking some whiskey and scotch, and talking about the fights. Well, in today's boxing media, nobody even gets along. They can't even have a beer together. So let's try to get along this year and cut back on the selfies with the boxers. Y'all are grown-ass men taking these crazy selfies with boxers. RB&J don't even do that.
Nope. And they'll come sit right with us. No more. No more.
Yeah, I mean, you take a pic, that's cool, but come on, man, too many selfies. Another wish that I have for 2017 is for Adrian Broner to stay out of trouble, to stay out of jail, to really just get himself together. Another wish of mine is for a clean sport. I mentioned earlier, PEDs were rampant in 2016. Fighters were popping dirty. We need a stronger drug testing sport. We need VADA testing implemented all around the board. So I'm really, really serious about that. I would love for a clean sport this year. I would love to see Friday night fights come back. And who don't miss Friday night fights?
We needed something, like a little bridge into the weekend. I miss Friday night fights, too. We could get some epic Teddy Atlas rants, if nothing else. And how many guys that we like now did we see get jump-started on Friday night fights? I miss it, too.
Man. I'd love to see Top Rank and Al Heyman really do business together this year, not just when desperate times call for desperate measures. So not just when Top Rank can't find a dance partner for, like a Terrence Crawford or someone like that. I really would like to see them work more together, straight up and down, because there are some really good matches that could be made between both stables. I'd like to see Victor Ortiz seek AA. He was arrested again the other day on the DUI. This is like his second DUI arrest in the past 6-9 months. Love to see him enroll in AA. I'd love for Gary Russell Jr. to buy a personality this year. And, that's pretty much my wish list. Oh, I would love to see women's boxing continue evolving. We saw some women's fights in 2016 that made it on TV, that made it on pay-per-view undercards, and they pretty much stole the show. So I hope to see more of that in 2017. What else you got, Jay?
I say this with all due respect because y'all know I got nothing but love for these two guys. Number one, I want Roy Jones Jr. to retire for real. Please, Roy, please. I love talking to you. You are great. I love you on the broadcast desk. Your personality is popping. Your sense of humor is fantastic. But your days of fighting are behind you. No more Roy Jones Jr. in 2017. Let's wrap it up after this next fight. Number two, I want Bernard Hopkins to remain retired. B-Hop. Mm-hmm. No. Don't wake up next week because you are a guy who is in shape. No one's disputing that. Please stay retired. No more. Please, no more. Take Shannon Briggs with you, too. Let Shannon Briggs focus on motivational speaking. I saw a story out there about he might get a fight with David Haye. No, Silver Gloves people. Let's just stay retired and enjoy it and motivate the youth. Another wish I have, it's never going to happen, and it would be great, but no. I just want Jim Lampley to have a sick day on one of these fight nights. I want to experience an HBO fight without Jim Lampley. I want to see a different mix. I want to see Max, Roy, and somebody. I don't know who. I'm not trying to get Jim Lampley fired like I could, but just a different energy for once on an HBO broadcast. Something I've never seen before in my fighting fan lifetime. And stop crying so much. Jesus. So that's about it. I could think of some more. I could go on and on, but I definitely want to know what the listeners are wishing for 2017.
Yeah, do we have anybody in the queue that'd be willing to come on? And they don't have to be funny or sarcastic. We actually have some really serious wish list items that we're going to share with you as well. But you know how we get down. Is there anybody willing to share some of their wishes with us? for 2017? Press 1.
Yeah, we have people in the queue. I see you, 916-773. Come on now. Dare to be great and share your boxing wish list. What I will share is somebody just tweeted us, Zombomani80 says they wish that boxers and promoters give the fans the best fights and not just worry about money like the old days. I agree.
Yep.
I agree.
I agree with that. I think that this year needs to be a really big year for boxing. The must-see fights must be made. If not, boxing will continue to fade. It is fading. For those that saying it's not, it is. Promoters have to respect the ticket-buying customers who shell out decent money, Jay, for these fights. So I agree. I think we have someone in the queue that wants to share their 2017 boxing wish list with us. Jay, bring them on.
Let's bring them on. 773-410. You're live with the Morning Punch-In Show. Who is this and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Chicago. I'm Bo from Truth and Facts Boxing. How you girls doing this morning?
Good.
You ladies,
Good.
I'm sorry. How you ladies doing this morning? I'm doing good. I'm just glad to be here another day. Life is good. Another year. How can you be mad about that?
Amen.
That's right.
All right. My wish list, and you ladies had some wonderful wish lists, but this is my wish list. I wish that the fans would stop giving these fighters excuses and accepting their excuses. Because the only reason why we get them is because fans are buying into it. I wish mainstream media would do a fair and unbiased job of reporting all of boxing, not just the fights that they want to see and make sense. And I wish these fighters would stop ducking because something don't make sense financially, and because some of the best fights aren't always going to be a financial gain. Those for the financial gain will come after that best fight. So right. I wish these fighters would stop ducking. And my number one wish list is I wish, and I really hate to say this, I wish Manny Pacquiao could retire, because as long as he's around, you're going to have guys that's going to try to get these money fights, and Top Rank is going to continue to have these in-house fights because he's the cash cow. So I wish Manny Pacquiao could retire and stay retired. And finally, I wish all of these fighters, instead of being on Twitter and Instagram, when you're training, train, and be ready for a fight.
That's
my
good
wish list for 2017.
Well, so let me ask you: are there any matchups in 2017 that you really, really want to see off the top of your head? If there's a fight out there that you really wish could happen this year, what would it be?
Jorge Linares versus Mikey Garcia.
Ooh.
Robert Easton Jr. Facing Rance, probably going up and facing Rance Bartholomew. And of any heavyweight, any of the top heavyweights giving Luis Ortiz a shot. I would love to see any top heavyweight take on Luis Ortiz.
That's a good one. Well, listen, thank you so much for calling in. We're going to put you back on the queue. We're going to go ahead and share our matchups that we'd like to see in 2017 next.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you so much. That was good.
Yeah, it was.
Good stuff.
See, the people are ready. The people are ready.
Yes.
We want to see what's going on in 2017. People are fired up.
Yes, and we love talking with our listeners. So, don't be shy. We see you in the queue, and we want to hear your wish list, whether it's a matchup, whether it's business-related, whether it's personal, whatever it is, we want to hear your wishes. So, Jay, let's talk about some fights that we would love to see get made in 2017. I'll start off, and if you want, we'll just take every other one here. So, obviously, the biggest matchup that RB and Jay want to see this year is Canelo versus Golovkin. It is the mega fight to make in boxing in 2017. It would create a lot of interest with mainstream fans, and I think it will help the pay-per-view business, Jay.
It would. It's a very competitive fight. It's a fight that a lot of people would be familiar with because it's been talked about enough in media that even the fringe fans, maybe in 2017 we'll call them fringe fans instead of casual fans, that fringe fans would be familiar with the name. So that's a good one to kick off. Another fight that RB and J definitely want to see in 2017, Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. We want to see it. They're both on Showtime. It's headed in that direction anyway. Why make us wait? Why let it marinate? Let's see it in 2017. Would it happen in England? There'd be more money over there, but Wilder's the bigger champion. Is New York ready for a fight like that? I don't know, but it's a great fight. I would love it in 2017.
I would love to see that fight too. A lot of people have been screaming for Deontay Wilder to step up his opposition, although they look at Anthony Joshua as this monster. In his last 3 fights, his opponents were not killers. They weren't all that great. So I think Wilder and Joshua is a fantastic matchup. I think they're just about equal. Actually, Wilder might have more experience. I think he may have faced tougher guys than Anthony Joshua to date.
And has had his chin tested.
Oh, yeah. Another fight that we'd like to see in 2017, Adonis Stevenson versus Sergey Kovalev. 2 big punchers who cannot stand each other. Literally, they cannot freaking stand each other. Stevenson, he needs a big 2017. He needs a dignifying fight. He needs to do something because his career, to be honest, has been pretty shitty. And it still is pretty shitty right now. So I think that's a dignifying fight for him, a big fight. They don't like each other. There'd be a lot of hype. We'd want to go to it.
That's right.
I think it's a good matchup. What do you think, Jay?
It's a terrific matchup. It's a fight that we've been wanting to see for at least a couple years now. And Adonis Stevenson has managed to hokey pokey around this fight a number of times. We want to see it. And before you jump into our mentions with the person, if he wanted to see the fight, if he wanted to make the fight, he can make the fight. So let's make the fight in 2017. If he got into the ring with Kovalev and he beat Kovalev like he's beat some of his other opposition, I'll have to say, wow, I don't like you as a human being, but in the ring, you are that dude. So let's make it happen in 2017. Another fight that RB and J would like to see in 2017. There's so many good options, but let's take it back to Omaha. Terrence Crawford versus Manny Pacquiao. Well, take it back to Vegas, really, but let's see it. Like our last caller just said, he wants Manny Pacquiao to retire so we can stop these money grab fights. Crawford earned that fight. It's a great fight. It's a fight people would want to see. And, Crawford versus Pacquiao, 2017. Yes, RB, yes.
And it's like, let's just get it over with. You know, for the past year or two, they've been talking about this fight, and for whatever reasons, it don't happen. But Crawford is another one. He needs that coming out party fight. And everybody thought maybe that was going to be Victor Postel. But he made it look so easy that people started calling it boring. You know, so it didn't really do it for him. So he needs that Pacquiao fight. He needs to beat Manny so he could become that next big thing in boxing.
That's right. Let's do it.
Another matchup that actually Jay came up with on one of our shows is Joe Smith versus Shawnee Monahan. 2 Irish kids from Long Island, New York. Put it in Long Island. Makes perfect sense.
That fight is great. Irish people, put a little pot of gold, you know, have a booth with some beers with like a little rainbow and a pot of gold. Do you know how lit that fight would be on the East Coast with these 2 dudes against each other? The guys would be out with the singing, and you know how Irish fans get down. That's a great looking fight. It's a great style matchup, and you know, it's a good fight for both of them. Good little money fight.
Yep.
So another fight that we want to see high on our wish list, especially to us who live here in Los Angeles. We want Oscar Valdez versus Abner Mares. We want the alligator to come to the ring, or what does he have? The alligator and a Banda. We want the alligator versus the Banda. We want it in Los Angeles. That's a hot fight, and they got some good, deep-rooted bad blood between them. That's a hot fight. Oscar Valdez versus Abner Mares.
Those are 2 fighters with major featherweight titles. It would be a real attraction, like Jay said, in LA. There is some animosity there. You know, Abner Mares used to be signed with Frank Espinosa Management. He wanted to go to Heyman. There was a pretty nasty breakup there. Valdez wants to get some redemption for his boys. You know, it just makes a really good build-up, and it makes for a really good fight. Absolutely. Another matchup we'd like to see in 2017, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez versus, Jay, help me, Inoue.
Yes, Inoue. Very good.
Inoue. Choco Latico is considered one of the best in the sport. Inoue is probably one of the most lethal fighters in the sport right now. That screams fireworks. That screams fight of the year potential.
That's just a barn burner. That would be a great fight. Again, bring it to Los Angeles. We'd like that here. And finally, before we take it back, you, the listeners and the tweeters, we want to see, of course, Francisco Vargas versus Orlando Salido 2. The RB&J 2016 Fight of the Year. Run it back. Let's get it cracking. Boom, 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 boom. Bombs away. Big blows, big cuts, and a great finish.
Run that back indeed. The only reason they didn't run it back, Lee, was because Francisco Vargas, his face was torn up. I mean, Mike Rodriguez did a phenomenal job on his face, but the kid does have skin issues. He does cut a lot. He swells a lot, and they really wanted to give him time to heal. Now, Orlando Salido and Lomachenko, that fight fell through last week. I don't know if anybody's caught up on that. In case you missed it, apparently Salido asked for a hefty dollar amount, and Bob Arum said, fine, you got it. And then I guess there were some other things behind the scenes that didn't quite shake out, so that fight fell through. So Salido needs a fight. Vargas has a fight on deck coming up here at the end of the month. So hopefully they can make the rematch soon in the spring.
Hopefully. Please bring it here. Please bring it back to L.A. If they did it again, they could do a little bit of a bigger arena. I mean, the StubHub is fantastic. I don't know, maybe it belongs back at the StubHub, but that fight was so good. You get the right undercard with it. You could probably put it at the Forum. Let's do it. Put it in Inglewood.
Oh, the Forum would be great. Yes. So if there's anybody listening that wants to share their wishes with us, please press 1 so Jay could pick you on up. We'd love to hear some of your wish list items. While we're waiting for Lou DiBella, we could definitely talk about Friday night fights, which this Friday on Spike TV, I'm kind of embarrassed to even talk about this card, but we're going to do it while we wait for Lou DiBella to call us. Friday night in the Miami area in Florida on Spike TV, we've got Islandy Lara versus Yuri Foreman as the main event.
Yes, we do. It's a fight. When's the last time Yuri Foreman fought again?
I don't know, but this is what I was referring to earlier when I said there were too many showcase fights going on in 2016, too many irrelevant fights that were happening. This is irrelevant. Call it a stay busy fight. Call it a showcase fight. Maybe it's a tune-up. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's on Spike TV. And it's really embarrassing.
I know. Spike did so well at putting fights on. If this fight turns out to be a barn burner, it's still a crap fight. However, if it turns out to be good, then cool. But Spike had a nice little run there, putting on some real hot, fiery, competitive fights. And this just does not go into that equation. When I think barn burner, I don't think, Islandy Lara versus Yuri Foreman. I don't. Who out there likes this fight other than Lara's bank accountant? Who likes this fight?
Yeah, maybe we'll talk to Lou about this. I do believe Yuri Foreman is still his fighter. So sorry if we're shitting on Yuri too much, Lou. However, it's just I don't know what's next. If Lara beats Foreman, what does this set Lara up for? I mean,
nothing. Vacation.
So
Wifey
anyway,
getting
really
a nice new bag. That's what it sets up.
Yeah, she is sharp, too. You can't tell Lara's wife nothing. She is sharp. The co-feature is Anthony Durrell versus Norbit Nemisapati.
Cricket. Okay.
So anyway, Friday night, you will not catch RB on Twitter. I will be at the Ari Spears Comedy Show in Phoenix, downtown at Stand Up Live. I am not going to spend my Friday night in the house watching Spike TV. And you guys know I will watch just about anything I will watch just about anything, but Friday night I said, no, I'm making plans, Jay. I'm going out.
I know that's right. I know. You know what? Maybe I might have to step out too, but I don't have no life. I'll probably be at home. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll be at home. Maybe not. Depends on how the week goes. And then just looking at the rest of this, there's nothing. Where is Hialeah, Florida? Who out there, if you live near Hialeah, Florida, listeners, please tell us. I want to know where it is.
I think it's kind of near Miami, but apparently they have a decent Cuban promotion there. If anybody's from that area, let me know how well they've marketed this fight. I'd love to know how many people show up. But, okay, on the
Good
real,
luck.
2017's got to be much greater. The right fights need to get made. Bigger matchups need to get made. We need a cleaner sport, and that's all there is to it. So this weekend, let's talk about the fights on Showtime. And we're still waiting for Lou. I know I just hit him up to call in now, but we've got some fights Saturday night, Jack DeGale and Pedraza Davis. So what I'm going to do is let's preview Pedraza Davis, which is the co-feature, Jay. And I think Lou is here. Perfect timing. Bring on Lou.
Let's bring him on. Good morning, Lou DiBella.
Good late morning.
How are you?
I'm all right. I'm lying here hoping I'm not getting the flu during fight week, but I'm all right. I'll suck it up. It's fight week, and it's a great card.
It is. Lou, I don't know if you listened earlier, if you saw our Twitter, Jay had a wish in 2017 that you would go 24 hours without cursing. Can that happen? Can that ever happen?
No fucking way. No, actually, to be honest with you, it really can happen. So I will begin in fact a week right now of not cursing starting this second. Unless you guys say something really messed up, I will go through the fight this Saturday without cursing.
Yeah, right. All right.
The lies you tell.
Until the post-fight press conference, because it's just too much fun to curse that.
Okay.
All right. So, look, we want to preview Pedraza Davis. So, we were going to talk about the fight a little bit. We got junior light title holder Pedraza of Puerto Rico. He's going to defend his world title for the third time. He takes on Gervonta Tank Davis, who is a dynamic 22-year-old kid from Baltimore, and this is probably the biggest step up in competition for him.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's probably also the toughest defense for Pedraza. Because Davis is hungry, he's got that Mayweather, push behind him.
Does he really though?
I know you get along with Davis, but he's sort of a mean, nasty little kid too. He's got really bad intentions in the ring. It's a tough fight, but I think Pedraza is a little bit too polished and experienced, and I have a feeling that this is the fight that Pedraza really steps up.
I was going to suggest the same. I think Pedraza is a really good fighter. He has way more experience, and he's been on these big stages before. Tank, I know he's had like 200 and some wins in the amateurs, but there's levels. This is the pros now. And I think he's been going through a lot outside of the ring, just dealing with Floyd and some of their personal issues. But I do think he's hungry. I think he's a strong bully. But I just think mentally, I think Pedraza is that much stronger than him mentally.
I think Pedraza is stronger than him mentally. I also think Pedraza has really made an effort this fight to promote himself and use social media, get out there more. I'm liking some of what I'm seeing. But Pedraza is a very level-headed kid, and he works very hard. And, you use the term sort of bully for Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's not necessarily the best thing in the world to have that bully mentality when you're a fighter, particularly when you're not a super experienced fighter and you haven't been there yet. Because if you don't have your way early in that fight or in the middle of that fight, if things aren't going your way, and that's your mentality, it's difficult to change course. Objectively as a fan, not just as his promoter, I like Pedraza in this fight. I mean, Davis can bang, dangerous, so you can't, take it lightly. But just on the basis of his demeanor and the experience and how calm and controlled he is, I like Pedraza.
Yeah. So is there anything that Tank can bring to the ring that Pedraza hasn't seen before? I mean, because that's where I'm at with it. I'm looking at who Pedraza's fought. He's fought some good guys, and I'm like, is there anything special that Tank can bring that Pedraza hasn't seen? Because I think there's a million things Pedraza could bring to the ring that Tank has not seen.
I mean, not really, because, the only thing I would normally say is a shorter guy that can punch, but Pedraza's been Michael Farinas and some guys that can bang. So I don't think that there's anything that he's bringing into the ring that Jose hasn't seen before. And he'll make the argument, Davis, that Jose's not bringing in anything that he hasn't seen before. There's a big difference between seeing things in the pro and seeing things in the amateurs and seeing things when there's a full lower bowl in the Barclays Center and seeing things in an amateur setting. So I think the advantage on experience and what they've been exposed to goes heavily to Jose.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we agree. So if Pedraza does come out victorious, what does this fight set him up for? I mean, beating Gervonta Davis, what does that really do? Or is there, a bigger picture in mind?
There's a bigger picture in mind, and I think that, well, first of all, there's a bigger picture in mind, but you don't want to look past a fight like this.
Right.
I don't think Jose has very many 30-pound fights left in him. Unless some huge matchup at 30 materialized next, I think the likelihood is Jose may want to move to 35, where there's more money, and more action.
Yep.
You have guys Mikey Garcia, Ladikainen, Krola, Linares,
big name.
Flanagan, Verdejo. I think the longer he fights and the more he builds his resume, I think maybe he's maturing with respect to that, the realization of what a Verdejo Pedraza fight could mean. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't move up to 35 for the right opportunity. But I mean, I think this is the first step in what he wants to be a big year. He wants to fight at least 3 times this year. He wants to move up to 35, and he wants to have a marquee matchup.
Wow, sounds good. Good for him. It sounds like he's finally got it. For a while there we didn't really hear from him, and you're right, we're starting to see him more on social media. He's doing more interviews. I read something on Boxing Scene today where he said Gervonta Davis is like a cheap Mayweather knockoff. I'm like, ooh, so that's good. He's getting out there and speaking up.
He's getting a little chippier. He's getting a little nastier, and he needed to do that.
Yeah, he did.
And also, I've always had a good relationship with the kid, but the relationship between the kid's father and myself has gotten better. We're communicating. So I think he needs to win this fight. He needs to do it convincingly. I think to win clearly, and then I think this could be a very big year for him.
Well, that's great, Lou. So let's talk about the main event. Let's preview this one.
Before we talk about can I steer us to the
Sure.
Showtime Extreme? Because literally, the Showtime Extreme doubleheader that precedes the two the main event and the co-feature, it's really one of the best extremes that they've ever done and the most interesting. And in the opening bout on Extreme, Yevgen Kitrov, who's the number 2 WBC contender at middleweight, is fighting Emmanuel Alim, who's undefeated, originally from the New York area. I think he lives in Maryland now. Battle between 2 undefeated middleweights, and the winner is going to get into that tournament that the BC ordered at their convention, a 4-man tournament to determine the mandatory for the winner of of Golovkin and Jacobs.
Ooh.
So that's a meaningful fight at middleweight between two undefeated middleweights. Heatroff lives in Brooklyn. It's a really good fight. And then
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I was going to say your show Extreme undercards, Lou, and most of your undercards are usually really, really great. They're sometimes better than the network cards.
Well, look, the people I work with are they know my philosophy on undercards, and Steven particularly, where we've done the Showtime shows at the Barclays. He's really worked with me to let me advance that sort of it's a pet peeve of mine when people pay good money for tickets and they walk into an arena and they see a shit undercard, and it's I just cursed. It's a pet peeve of me for the arena and see a poor undercard, and it's a pet peeve. It annoys me when I hear from my friends who are UFC fans or MMA fans that the undercards are generally better in mixed martial arts. So, the last couple of years I've really made it a cause, to make sure that the undercards on the shows I do are very, very strong. And I got to tell you, it's not like that common. It's unfortunate, but go to fights all over the place. I don't see a lot of criticism coming from the West Coast sycophant crowd about what they're getting on their undercards, but you see a lot of really poor undercards in boxing. And some of the time, you see really, really poor undercards where people are paying $70 for pay-per-view. You know, and that's not okay. That's not okay, because it doesn't cost a fortune. It doesn't cost crazy money to make a good undercard. It just costs. You need some work. You need the willingness to have a fighter or two lose when you don't expect them to.
Yep.
But you don't have to break the bank to make a really good undercard.
I mentioned earlier that not only do we need the must-see fights this year, but along the lines of what you're talking about, the promoters and everyone, they need to have a little more respect for the ticket-buying customers who are shelling out the money and the decent dollars for the fights, because we want a good undercard too. I totally agree.
But before you get even to the Showtime Extreme, Adam Kaunacki, who's undefeated, up and coming, heavyweight, is fighting a kid with a great record who's one of his tougher tests. Julian Sosa, who's a big ticket seller in New York, considered one of the better prospects in New York, is fighting his biggest test, another undefeated kid from New York. They're aware of each other. Those are the kind of fights you need, so that even people are coming early because they want to get the value of their tickets. They want to see good fights. They're going to get good fights. And you know what? In mixed martial arts, the crowd tends to arrive earlier because their expectation for what they get is greater. And that's what you hear. I want to give people the expectation that when they arrive early, they're going to get good entertainment. And speaking of which, the main event on Extreme is somewhat historic. It's the first televised legitimate women's world title fight in like a decade. And
that's right.
Amanda Serrano, who's a four-time four-division world champion, is fighting Yasmin Rivas, who's a former world champion, a three-time three-division world champion. And it's a classic, Puerto Rican versus Mexican, title fight time with the ladies. And anyone who goes on YouTube and looks at past fights of Amanda knows she's got tremendous skill and power. But if you look at footage of Yasmin Rivas, the woman can really fight. So it's the main event on Extreme. So that's the first time any Showtime, level show has had a women's fight in the main event.
That's excellent.
Well, good for you, Lou, because if it weren't for you, that would not have happened, and it would not happen in 2017. We were saying earlier that another wish list of ours this year is to continue to see women's boxing evolve. and you have been the pioneer and the trailblazer in doing that. And, you know, Heather Hardy stole the show last year, and Clarissa Shields stole the undercard of that terrible pay-per-view card. And, you know, so there's something there, and you've been campaigning for this, and you've been fighting for this, and you get all the credit in my book.
No, I appreciate that. You know, it's unfortunate, though. Even on that pay-per-view card, that Clarissa Shields fight should have been televised live. You know?
Absolutely.
And particularly with the direct they gave you on the pay-per-view. You know, there's women have earned the right. You know, I am a champion for this because, you know, I'm the kind of guy that when I jump on a train or something becomes like a cause for me, I tend not to be able to jump off or stop riding it. You know, so these undercards are been a cause for me. Women's boxing, you know, has been. You know, one of my other causes for the year is a personal one. I just got to take things easier and take boxing less seriously. You know, otherwise I'm going to wind up like shortening my life. But I think that look, I'm optimistic with the way the year started. You know, there's a bunch of really good shows on the horizon. The January 28th show in Vegas is terrific, and you know we have you know we're going to be announcing. Look, everyone knows March 4th is Thurman Garcia or Garcia Thurman, however you want to call it, and most people know it's going to be in Brooklyn. When
are you announcing that, like formally?
I wish it was last week, but I'm hoping for. I'd like to in the next 24 hours. You know, honestly, we're just waiting for the network part of the announcement. But I mean, look, obviously it's been written a bunch of places, and I think the secret is out. But I'd like to go on sale. I think I have a tremendous event, and I'd like to go on sale. And then look, I'm happy that the Danny, you know, challenge, you know, the Danny Triple G fight. You know, I think that Triple G and Danny is a fight that's obviously is high quality, and you know, you have 4 major fight cards right there in March. And then mixed in with that, I got a great show box on February 10th, and there's a lot of boxing action early in the year. So I'm hoping, you know, I see some good things. I mean, the only trend that's troubling me a little bit starts 2017 is already I'm seeing fights that really, really would elevate boxing if they were on premium cable, or other fights that simply aren't that amazing, whether they're on premium cable or not. And I see this stuff moving to pay-per-view, and I'm shaking my head because it's so bad for the business. You know, that's the only thing I'm seeing as a trend that's starting this year that bothers me a little bit.
Yeah.
I think we need fewer pay-per-views, not more. You know, we don't have any. You know, there is no, you know, million buy. Mayweather's retired. There's no million buy or even $500,000 buy pay-per-view fights sitting out there, and this move of pushing stuff where people in this economy, their cable bills are already, you know, significant. You know, $70 to watch a boxing card where you could turn on your TV at almost any hour of the day or night, and there's combat sports playing on some network. I don't think that's good for the sport.
And Lou, you know, you don't realize it until the cable bill comes in. Because, for example, I opened up my cable bill the other day, and we bought Pacquiao Vargas. I didn't go to Vegas for that. And my sister was here for Kovalev Ward, and she bought that one. And I got the bill, and I'm like, why is my bill $160 more this month? And it was like, wow, those 2 pay-per-views really did me in.
Absolutely.
It's expensive. We're poor.
Look, I mean, one of the things I could tell you, and I'm going to give you guys a jump on the announcements that are going to be made because you were nice enough to have me on today. You know, one of the things, like when you look, I think Golovkin and Jacobs is a terrific fight, but they're going out with extremely, extremely high ticket prices, extremely high. And I made a real effort when you see the scaling for the Thurman Garcia show you're going to see the ticket scaling is, roughly sort of 50% lower.
Wow.
I mean, it's almost scaled, like when you average it out, it's scaled about half. That's because I want more people there. Now, the Golovkin Jacobs fight is on pay-per-view, and I'll look, I'll be honest, I'll probably buy it myself. I think with the performance it's going to have in the old days of HBO, that would have been a live HBO fight. HBO would have paid the money for a live HBO fight. But here's the choice that fans are going to be. Some fans are going to have that don't have an endless amount of money. You can go live to the Barclays Center and watch. If you're like limited on your budget, you can go to the Barclays Center if you're in anywhere within traveling distance in New York, and go to the fight live for the cost of watching the pay-per-view a couple of weeks later. And in my mind, that's you don't generally want to see that kind of decision-making process.
Yeah, you don't want the fans to have to pick.
Right.
You hope that the fights that go pay-per-view because there's no other choice, because they're so big that there's no way in the world that they could go someplace else. And now it seems that sometimes it's a little bit of greed, sometimes it's crazy, stupid deals that were made with fighters that certain promotional companies that may not know so much can't possibly fulfill without trying pay-per-view, even though it's not going to work. And sometimes it's because budgets have changed, with the networks. It's not just our biggest product that's going, to pay-per-view. And I don't, sometimes I don't mind seeing, look, there are niche pay-per-views that, promoters put together, and it's a matter of choice for the fighter. And if they didn't do the pay-per-view, another network wouldn't pick it up. And I'm not against that in any way or whatever. I just think we're making it really hard for our hardcore boxing fans. And I don't think our demographic, honestly, I don't think our demographic of athlete are the wealthiest athletes. And I don't think our demographic of fans are the wealthiest people.
No, it's a poor man's sport. You hear it all the time. Boxing is a poor man's sport, from the fans to the fighters to the promoters. Most of everybody is poor for a long time.
Well, when you go out there and if you put half a dozen fights on pay-per-view in a year, $500, like
yeah,
in that neighborhood. Like, I mean, that's significant. And I got to tell you, like, you need, and again, I want all our fans to see, the Gale and Jack and the Gale. And the ticket prices this weekend, the VIP rings are $300, and the tickets go all the way down to $25. And I think that's one of the reasons we're selling, well right now. We had the holidays in between. Whatever we need a good week. This week, but we're not giving tickets away, and you're going to see the lower bowl, which is how we set it up. You're going to see that lower bowl, looking really full, and it's going to be, a good crowd. But I think we priced it appropriately. And,
but there seems to be some type of lack of interest or excitement. Is it because the one guy is from Switzerland and the other guy is British, or what? It just doesn't feel like a big fight week for some reason. And we've all wanted to see this fight.
I think you have, like, one guy's from Sweden. You're close. You're Sweden, not Switzerland. And the other guy's British. That's got a little bit to do with it. There's not neither guy is a big natural ticket seller in New York, but it's actually doing okay. And I think that that might be part of it. I think another part of it is literally when you have a fight that comes right after, and I've promoted so many of them that come right after the new year, like pretty much people shut down from around I don't know, like mid late, like sort of that December 15th to 17th area, until like today, like until January 5th, 6th. People sort of slow down and shut down. And by the way, they're looking at college football. They're looking, the bowl game. I mean, the championship game is tonight. The college championship game is tonight. The Giants played, and I'm still depressed. Their playoff game yesterday. So I think it's just a bunch of factors. I also think that there's it's not. We're doing pretty well, actually. We're going to have a good crowd. We're going to have a really big crowd. We're not papering the house. If people want to go, they're actually going to have to buy their ticket, which, by the way, has been the norm for most of what we've done in Brooklyn. Is we really haven't been papering the house because we've been having success. And we also, we have two different setups. We have a setup for a Jack DiBella fight, which is, the lower bowl. And by the way, the thing about a lower bowl setup is that your more inexpensive seats are sensational seats.
Mm-hmm.
There are no nosebleeds because they don't go on sale. There's approximately, 8,000 seats that are available to the public when you do the kind of setup we have for Saturday, night. And we're doing pretty well. Like right now, it's about 5,000 of those seats are sold. So I'm expecting a big week, and I think there's a chance that we're gonna get to close to the whole bowl being full.
That's awesome. Let me ask you a couple questions before you wrap, Lou. One, can you give us a little sneaky tip on what the network portion of the announcement is that we're waiting for Garcia Thurman? So that's number one. And number two, capitalizing on this 2017 momentum, we want to know what's on your 2017 boxing wish list.
Good questions. Look, the first one on the network announcement, obviously, like, I can't really give you the,
Is it CBS?
That's, look.
You can plead the fifth. It's okay. Plead the fifth.
There lies the question, okay? But I think here's what I can say. Steven Espinoza, the people around Thurman and Garcia, the fighters themselves, the promoter, all of us, our greatest desire is to see that fight seen by as many people as possible. So I think that gives you a little bit of clue about what people would like to see happen. But there are schedules and there are things that have to be moved around and there are decisions that have to be made at much higher levels than us. So that stuff is literally being worked out right now.
Excellent.
I always think, though, like this is a consistent thing. I always think you're better off having a fight available to more eyeballs than fewer. It's funny because not every fight that was on. What are the smaller networks that BBC was using? I'm spacing out right now.
Bounce.
What?
Bounce TV?
Oh, yeah, Bounce. Okay. More people watched the average fight on Bounce last year than the average pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow, that's surprising.
So, you want fights available to more eyeballs because more people see them. And if you have a great fight and you can make that great fight available to more people, then it's so much better for the sport. So I don't have the answer to your question, but the answer, I'm going to guess that answer is going to pop up very, very quickly, before Jack DiBella.
Perfect.
And then with respect to what I want to see this year, I want answers to what happened in New York and try to figure out why they're trying to hurt the boxing industry in New York. I want to be able to promote Broadway boxing again in New York, not just Jack DiBella, not just Thurman Garcia. I don't want our New York fights to be limited to 6 or 7 big fight cards a year and 100 cards that were done among many promoters, a lot of whom you're not even familiar with, but smaller promoters, guys that aren't people that aren't as well known as myself, who contribute to the success of boxing in New York. Look, to give it perspective, if this law was in effect in Pennsylvania, where I know RBU do a lot of stuff, and my friend Russell Peltz promotes, there'd be no shows.
Mm-hmm. Right.
No shows. And right now, we solved the problem, and we have insurance for the 14s. We'll have insurance for the big shows. But something smelly went on here and is going on that's stopping the boxing industry from operating in a way that has been its tradition for literally hundreds of years, and we need to be able to do small shows again. So I want to see that happen. I want to see a continuation of the kind of fights we're starting, the year with. And honestly, this is going to sound like crunchy granola or whatever, and maybe coming from me too. But honestly, like this, I go on Twitter and look, I'm a fan of you ladies because I think that you're enthusiastic. I think you call things as you see them. I don't think you kiss people's rear ends, but I also don't think you go out of your way to hurt people. And there are days I wake up and I look at my timeline and I'm like, do I really want? I mean, if I wasn't so successfully promoting my product on social media, I get off of it because boxing social media is full of a lot of people that need to get a life.
It's nasty.
No, it's nasty and it's mean and honestly, here's what I miss. I miss the sport that I got into a long time ago. At this point, it's well over 25 years ago. But back then, if Aaron was doing a fight card, other promoters would sit there with him having drinks and having dinner. People would go to other people's cards if they were good enough. People would socialize. No one rooted for the failure of anybody else. Writers didn't hate one promoter for no apparent reason or hate one manager or blame one person for the problems in the sport. They weren't spewing venom and hatred. Podcasts weren't nasty and hard to listen to. I mean, it was sort of not that it was Disneyland. It never was. It was always Dodge City. But it was there was a collegial attitude in the industry. And now it's a nasty, mean, rotten industry with an overwhelming number of miscreants, misanthropes, and people that really need to have sex with somebody. And I just want to see it I'd like to see things go back a little bit to the way they used to be, where we rooted for the success of our business, we rooted for the success of our sport, and we didn't sit around hating on people just for the sport and hell of it.
Okay. I'm speechless. And you didn't curse.
Yes, Lou.
Very good. Lou got through that. There were no four-letter words.
There we go. Well, thanks for having me, ladies. Look, people should get their tickets. Seriously, get them now if you want. The ring sides are really good seats. Plenty of seats available. The ring sides are really good seats, though, which are really reasonably priced. Those are flying out. So, call Ticketmaster.com or Barclays Center, .com, or go to the box office and get your ticket. And then for people that, for those who are sick of paying $70 for pay-per-view, you could pay $25 for a ticket that's still a good ticket. You could pay $40 for $50. I mean, someone went online yesterday and was commenting that he spent $68 and he couldn't believe how great his seats were to Jack the Gale. Literally, you can do that. You can go out there and you can get tickets for well under $100 and have really, really terrific seats for the first big boxing show of 2017. So I urge people to go out there and get their seats.
All right.
You heard it.
Thank you, ladies. Have a good week.
Thanks,
all right,
Lou.
you too, Lou.
Bye-bye.
He just cut us off.
He said, all right, I'm out. Enough of you. I'm out.
We couldn't even say Happy New Year. He just, bye, ladies.
I'm out. He said he got to go set this bowl up. He's out.
Anyway, we're going to wrap up here, too. We got 2 minutes, but we're going to give our quick breakdown and our quick prediction on Jack DeGale. This Saturday night, Badou Jack, James DeGale, they're putting their super middleweight titles on the line. They last appeared together on Showtime last April in D.C. That was about 9 months ago. This fight probably did take a little too long to make. I think both Badou Jack and James DeGale have blamed each other for the delay. Word on the curb is that DeGale did want a whole lot of moolah, but the reality is there just wasn't enough dates, and most Haymon fighters only fight 1 or 2 times a year anyway. Jay, I think both fighters are really confident going into this fight. I think Badou Jack's last 3 fights were probably tougher. He has fought Anthony Durrell, George Groves, and Lucien Butte. And DeGale's last 3 have been Andre Durrell, Lucien Butte, and Porky Medina, which he went the distance with him. I think it's clear that DeGale is starting to show his age. Just by going the distance with Porky Medina, he really wasn't able to hold his own ground. He looked a little tired. His legs looked weak. And, he's been inactive for 9 months. Badou Jack seems to put in a lot of effort. He has seemed to, be reincarnated. He's a blue-collar type of fighter. He has good jab, works the body well, makes the most out of his talent. I'm going with Badou Jack by unanimous decision.
It's a great matchup. DeGale, among his attributes, he is a smart boxer. He does a really good job of cutting off the ring. He's aggressive offensively. Won his last 3 fights by decision. Somewhat life or death with Porky Medina, as you mentioned. Badou Jack is a well-balanced fighter. He has a really great jab. He's got some good knockout power. He does have a habit of lunging forward when he's punching, but he's still fun to watch. I'm going to go with you and pick Badou Jack as the winner. Badou Jack is really breaking out and coming into his own. And if he's victorious in great fashion in this fight, there's just no stopping him. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens to him, especially because there's a possibility of Golovkin moving up in the future. There's Zerto Ramirez out there. There's a lot of things that could happen with him. So I'm going to go with my girl RB and pick Badou Jack by decision for the win this weekend.
All right. Hey, can I get your official pick for Pedraza Davis? We didn't even give our pick. Lou was spilling tea.
Yeah, she sure was. We're going to get that network tea. But, okay, so Pedraza Davis. Pedraza's got those quick hands. Gervonta Davis got that knockout power. I think Pedraza, as the more experienced fighter, just will have more tools to utilize to pull out a victory. I'm going to pick Pedraza by split decision over Gervonta Davis.
I really don't even want to make a pick in this fight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you that in my heart, I would love to see Gervonta Davis win for many, many, many reasons. I think he's been treated like shit by some people on his promotional team. I think he is really hungry. I think he's been training his ass off. And I just think he's had a really rough 2016. He was really inactive. But in my heart, I would love to see the kid win. But I agree with you, Jay. Pedraza is more seasoned. He is experienced. And that will be likely who will win. But I'm going to go with Tank.
All right. It's going to be a good fight. We're going to take it in. We're going to watch it. You're going to hear from RB and J. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, on Fight Night, so we can break it down and make you laugh a little bit, too, because we're good at that. Coming up this weekend, the weekend fight schedule on Friday, as you know, January 13th on Spike TV. Erislandy Lara versus Yuri Foreman. Go ahead and get your popcorn and wings or something, or margarita, who knows. And also on that card, Anthony Durrell versus Norba Nemispati. On Saturday, as you heard from Lou, make sure you check out the bowl setup. We've got James DeGale versus Badou Jack, and we've got Jose Pedraza versus Gervonta Davis. You just heard our picks. Make sure you tune in with us again on Monday, next Monday after the fight, so we can chop it all up and see what happens.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we are going to wrap up. Thank you for joining us today. Catch us every Monday morning. We are back in 2017 from 8 to 9 a.m. It's the Morning Punch-In Show. Thank you for making us part of your day. RB and J, it's a wrap.